Hey guys, welcome to I almost said Kid Missing TV. Spunky's World. We are going to talk about the baseball presentation. I took lots of notes. Okay. Clarence Garney, I think his name is, was a man who wrote about our baseball history. And he's now in the Hall of Fame along with his work because he handed over his manuscripts and all his research to the Hall of Fame, and they looked at it. There were a lot of black players in it. And they said, we need this information, which is hard to get, to determine what African American players deserve to be in the Hall of Fame from back in this time period when the baseball was still segregated. Clarence came to Douglas in 1930. He was from Ludlow, which is in Western Mass. It's probably an hour from here or so, to teach high school business type classes. He also coached all the sports. He wrote for several newspapers and later worked for Winfield Schuster at the mill as part of what would you call it? He was part of human resources, but no. People who do all the hiring. Anyway, that's what he did. All the way up until 1983, when Winfield Schuster went out of business. So it's funny, my father probably knew this guy. The first game in Douglas was May of 1891. They don't know the date. And it was started by Winfield Schuster's father, Walter Schuster. And the Schusters had so much darn money, they could pay the best players to come here. And we had a game against Oxbridge with an unknown date in 1891. And we had a second game on August 19th, 1891. Walter Schuster was only 15 when he started the team. Again, that's Winfield's father. Many big-time players played for Douglas before they went to the big leagues. Jack Chesborough was a Hall of Famer who played here. Mill owners used baseball to teach the things that were important for their employees. You know, things that make a good employee, like teamwork and things like that. And they also used it to Americanize any foreign employees that they had. In 1892, Douglas were state champions with a record of 18-2. In 1925, the Blackstone Valley League came to be. In 1927, Schuster brought in Major League pitcher named Lefty Grove. He paid him $200 plus $10 a strikeout. Lefty was quoted as saying, "I was hoping for extra innings. I wanted more strikeouts." You can imagine how much he paid him. I believe the total was like $480, which is astronomical in 1927. I mean, what is that today? I don't have anything turned on to do the conversion. Well, yeah, I do, I guess. My tablet's right here. Let's do the conversion, shall we? $480 in 1927. $8,049. They had 5 championships in 10 years. In the 30s and into the early 40s, the high school team was number 1. Like I said, they had 5 championships in 10 years. One native son of Douglas, Henry Coppola, went on to the majors. You may recognize that name because we talked about Anthony Coppola, who wrote They Raced Horses on Main Street, about the history of the town. Henry played for the Washington Senators. He actually had about a 10-year career. He was a pitcher. He pitched 12 times to Lou Gehrig. Gehrig never got a home run off of him. And he was a left-handed pitcher. Cleveland was here that day in 1946 to play us, but it was absolutely drenching pouring. So it ended up being postponed, and Cleveland wasn't available, so we got the Yankees. And on that day, September 24th, 1946, Lou Gehrig played every inning. Most of the starters played a couple of innings. Gehrig played every inning. And when asked by the press afterwards, why did you do that? He said, because these people came to see us play baseball. I played baseball. How awesome is that? So that was Joe DiMaggio. Like I said, he felt the people came to see him play baseball, and they were playing baseball. 22 Hall of Famers played on our field. 10 played on the Douglas team at one time or another. Yogi Berra had been picked up by the Yankees 7 days before, no, 4 days before the game here in Douglas. And he wasn't even listed on the roster yet. And the gentleman that gave the gentleman that did this, and I'll talk to you about him in a minute, the information said, was Yogi Berra there? He's not listed on the roster, but I know he was part of the team since the 20th, and this was the 24th. And he looked at a picture behind him, and you could clearly see both teams. He said, Berra's the third guy in on that picture. Clarence turns around and he goes, holy cow. So, what do you know? There was also another amazing player, Hall of Famer, World Series champion, Walt Drapeau. who was paid by Winfield Schuster to come from New York every week rather, to play for the Douglas team when he was, before he got picked up by the major leagues. Today, the Douglas High School team wears Schuster uniforms. They are going back to the Mill League. They are paying homage to the Mill League, which is wonderful. Now, the gentleman who did this program, his name is Dick McGrath. I looked at him, I said, I know you. I don't know your name, but I know your face. And he told me his name, Dick McGrath. I went, wait a minute. Your son went to school here? He said, yep. Brian. I said, graduated in 93. I was in his class. In, the little grades. Brian was one of the kids that was nice to me. And I said, and I know your wife very well because she worked at school and she used to watch my Kid Missing shows on cable access. I used to run into his wife all the time. And I'd known Mrs. McGrath forever. Like I said, she worked at school. I believe she worked in the library. And I knew she was Brian's mom. He was a sweet kid. He never said a bad word to anybody. And you can't say that about all the kids in Douglas. And I told him that too. He said he was going to let Brian know that I said hello. So it was really weird because it seems like everybody knows. That's what happens in a town this size. When I was in school here, there were only like 3,000 people here. We literally knew each other by face, even if you couldn't think of the names. I bet my father knew this guy. And my father for sure knew Clarence. Okay. Perfect. I will actually be back. We will have 4 videos today because I just got the full lineup for this season of Dark Side of the Ring, and they've added a couple of episodes. So I will do an updated video on that. But thank you so much. Please subscribe if you're new. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. As for me, I'm going to make that video. Then I'm going to get all of these into editing and into upload so that I can finish working on June. So please subscribe if you're new or if you've watched a few videos and you like what you see. You can customize your subscription. I'm not sure if that means to a certain type of video or not subscription. What am I saying? Yeah, you can customize it. I don't know if that means when you hit the bell you can tell it how often you want to be notified, or if you can tell it of specific types of videos that you want to be notified about. I'm not sure how it works, but it can be done. So thank you so much for joining me. I will see you for that video. I'm excited about that. God bless you. Bye, guys.